Hi everyone. Hi everyone. It's Naomi Wolf. I'm calling the office of Angus Taylor MP. You can hear it on Skype to correct his misstatement that I allegedly was in Oxford in 1991, warring on Christmas and trying to campaign to remove a Christmas tree from the common room. It didn't happen. I was in New York. I'm ringing his parliamentary office. They're not picking up. I think it's important to correct the record for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that...
Hello?
Hi, good morning. It's Naomi Wolf calling from Salem, Massachusetts. Hello? Have I reached Angus Taylor's parliamentary office? Hello? Hello, are you there? It's Naomi Wolf, the writer. I'm trying to call to request a correction to a statement that Angus Taylor apparently made about me that is inaccurate, that he stated, I gather from news reports, to Parliament, and possibly also in a magazine called The Financial...
Sorry, you need a correction to what?
So have I reached Angus Taylor's parliamentary office?
Whose parliamentary office?
Angus Taylor.
Yes, what are you calling regarding?
Thank you. So I'm a writer named Naomi Wolf. I'm also CEO of a company that helps people understand and engage with democracy. And I'm calling because I understand from news reports in The Guardian and also posted on social media from a magazine called Financial Review that Mr. Taylor made inaccurate comments stating that I was in Oxford in 1991 campaigning against a Christmas tree in one account, or among those campaigning against Christmas. And this is not accurate. And I would like a correction, please.
Sorry. No. Those press organisations have misinterpreted Mr. Taylor's comments.
Can you help me understand?
So actually we're in complete agreement.
We're in agreement that I was not in Oxford in 1991 and not campaigning against Christmas, because that's what is true.
No. As to whether she was in attendance at Oxford is perhaps a matter of disagreement between her and Mr. Taylor. But in relation to the Financial Review's reporting or the Guardian's reporting, that's a matter of dispute from this office.
I'm sorry, what are you disputing?
If you have a look at Mr. Taylor's first speech, no one suggests that she is part of the group of graduates who are opposed to Christmas.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
It does, because I've looked at
if you look at his speech, he doesn't suggest that at all.
But he does. So first of all, just to be clear, I'm Naomi Wolf. I'm the subject of these comments. So There is an inaccuracy in his speech to Parliament. I was not in Oxford among the people warring against Christmas in 1991.
Right. I mean, look, Mr. Taylor seems to recall that you were in Oxford. You'd have to have that discussion with him.
But so let's move on to the second source, which is a much more serious misstatement. In the second source in the Financial Review, someone told the reporter, and it appears to be sourced by Mr. Taylor, that I campaigned against a Christmas tree in Oxford in the Common Room in 1991, and that he, a Christian, opposed my campaign and was triumphant.
No, that's not. That hasn't been sourced from this office or from him. That's not his view.
Okay, well, do you think that your press office should correct a lengthy account in the Financial Review?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but his press office has corrected that view.
Mm-hmm. So
the assertion is that Naomi Wolf was present, but at Oxford at that time.
So you're
not that she was campaigning against Christmas in any way.
Okay, well, thank you.
Just so
will
clear.
You tell Parliament, please, that I was not campaigning against Christmas in any way?
No, that advice has been provided to each of the media organisations that's reported on this story.
But you
that's
still
already been provided.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying, can you show me evidence that you've told me news reports that you've corrected the misstatement that I was campaigning against Christmas? I've seen no evidence that you've provided that statement to news reports. You haven't provided it to me, by the way, and I'm publicly questioning this on social media and everywhere I can.
I'm sorry. Like I am sorry. It's obviously we can't prove that statement has been provided, but I can assure you that it has been provided to both the Guardian and the Australian Financial Review.
I'm sorry.
That's not at all Mr. Taylor's assertion, and the origin of these stories is not Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Taylor didn't state to Parliament.
Australia.
Sorry. So 2 questions, and thank you for your patience. First of all, so I'm a journalist. I'm also trained as a journalist. You're telling me you cannot prove that you gave statements correcting this misstatement about my being in Oxford among those warring against Christmas to the Guardian and other news outlets. Why can't you give me any proof of that?
Can I encourage you to send your inquiry in writing?
No,
because then the press office can respond.
No, I've been. You can just go on my Twitter feed. You can see that I've been making many direct queries to Angus Taylor's Twitter account, which his chief of staff or communications director should be aware of.
Sorry to cut you off. Can I encourage you to send an email? Because then you'll get a complete response from the press office and from Mr. Taylor himself.
No, I'm as a journalist, I would much rather be able to have a direct conversation so I can have follow-up and clarifying questions. Because, for instance, right now you've stated that your office has corrected these misstatements about me being in Oxford in 1991 to the Guardian, and I think you said one other news outlet, and you're telling me you can't provide me any record of that or any documentation. And again, I'm formally requesting documentation. Secondly, I'm formally requesting that...
Sorry. So who's calling?
Naomi Wolf, the subject of these misstatements.
So just to be clear, I'm sorry, it's a bad line. I'm talking to Naomi Wolf personally.
Correct. You're talking to Naomi Wolf personally. And I'm telling you, I wasn't in Oxford in 1991.
Can I clarify Mr. Taylor's first speech?
Yes, but first,
to the Parliament?
Certainly, I've heard it and I've seen transcripts, but you can certainly clarify. But I just want to restate, it can't be a matter of opinion between me and Mr. Taylor, a matter of dispute or different impressions about him allegedly seeing me in Oxford in 1991 among those warring against Christmas, which are his words.
No,
because I wasn't
let me
there.
clarify. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
Let me clarify.
Please.
Mr. Taylor recalls seeing you at Oxford. Mr. Taylor does not suggest in any way, and this clarification has been provided to the Australian media who've reported on this matter, Mr. Taylor does not in any way suggest that you are in any way campaigning against, shall we say, quote-unquote, Christmas.
But he did state that in his maiden speech. He said I was among those campaigning against Christmas. And
no.
He stated,
no, I'm sorry. I don't, I mean, I can bring up the transcript now, but the statement that you were there is merely a statement of context. There is no suggestion whatsoever that you campaigned against Christmas.
That I was among those. By all means, bring up the statement.
Indeed, there is no suggestion in any way that you were amongst those who campaigned against Christmas.
Okay, so please...
Just so we're clear.
Thank you. So first of all, I wasn't there in 1991. He couldn't have seen me. And he stated that I lived a few doors down. That's not correct. In 1991. I was in New York in 1991 and touring with a kind of well-known book called The Beauty Myth, and it's a matter of public record in many, many news outlets. Plus, an eyewitness who was staying with me has also come forward and stated that I was in New York in 1991 and not among those warring against Christmas in 1991 in Oxford. I mean, he can't make up where I was.
if you review Mr. Taylor's speech, there is no suggestion whatsoever that Naomi Wolf was in any way campaigning against Christmas.
So
just so we're crystal clear.
So again, tell me why in that case, because I've read those words carefully, and they and I've also been a political consultant to Gore and to the Clinton campaign. It's very clear from the maiden speech that he's invoking my name.
This was Taylor in 2013 attacking political correctness during his time at Oxford University.
It was 1991 and a young Naomi Wolf lived a couple of doors down the corridor. Several graduate students decided we should abandon the Christmas tree in the common room because some people might be offended.
Overnight, celebrated progressive author and feminist firebrand Naomi Wolf hit back with a firm, nah.
I was a Rhodes Scholar in Oxford, 1985 to 88. Angus Taylor recalls me in a fever dream at Oxford in 1991 among those warring on Christmas. I was in NYC. Plus, I love Christmas. Flattered to be on this mythological hate list.
And the tweets kept coming, backing Wolf over Taylor.
I can attest to the fact that Naomi Wolf was living in NYC in 1991 because she generously let me stay on the couch in her Manhattan apartment.
This afternoon, Taylor was standing by his speech, telling us Mr. Taylor did not say Naomi Wolf was one of the graduates and was not referring to Naomi Wolf as one of the graduates.
It's still not clear how we have this case of a mistaken identity in Naomi Wolf. Angus Taylor says that he wasn't suggesting she was involved in the war on Christmas, but he hasn't explained why he has named her when, according to Wolf, she wasn't there at the same time.
He invokes me in that context in his maiden speech, and I just, by all means, read the transcript, but for what reason does he invoke me in the context of alleged campaigners against Christmas in a year when I was not in Oxford? I was visibly, publicly doing other things in New York and other cities around the world. For what reason did he invoke me in his maiden speech then?
Ma'am, all I can say, and I'm not a media advisor, and I haven't discussed the matter in detail with Mr. Taylor. All I know is that all I can say, in fact, on background, is that Mr. Taylor did not in any way suggest that you are involved. Can I encourage you, if you have a specific question for Mr. Taylor, can I encourage you to send an email, please?
Well, I'll give you my number, and he should
Can I give you the email? I'm sorry to cut you off. Can I send you an email? Can I provide you with the email address of his press secretary?
I mean, at this point, no. I've called you. They can call me back. You have my number. You have my Skype address. But
no, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's I'm on a landline. I don't actually, in fact, have your number at all.
Let me give it to you. It's 011.
Can I just also observe it's 11:30 p.m. in Canberra at the moment?
Well, you picked up the phone.
or past midnight, in fact.
So I've been asking.
Can I give you an email address? If you send an email, you have a response tomorrow morning, and that is, within the next 10 hours.
I'm not satisfied to do that. He publicly, verbally misstated where I was and what I was doing, and implied to Parliament that I was warring against Christmas, a very clear implication. And someone stated it in an interview with him, either him or his press office, much more clearly and very divisively in terms of religious divisions to Financial Review. That has not been corrected, and you've shown me no correction that you've made to
Ma'am,
these
I'm sorry, we actually cannot force a correction. Can I encourage you to send an email?
You can send me a
have
correction
a
and I'll post it. Again, no, he did not email his misstatements about me to Parliament. He made them in a maiden speech, lumping me with people who were warring against...
I'm sorry, but can you send me an email? Can you send an email to the press office, please, and you will get a response? I mean, again, I'm not willing to communicate about this by email because that doesn't allow me for live follow-up questions. And also, so let me just tell you, I've been trying to get this corrected for 3 or 4 days now. It's a matter of public record. I wasn't there.
I wasn't worrying on Christmas. You have a responsibility without any further communication from me. I'm telling you directly, I wasn't there. It's not true. I didn't campaign against any Christmas trees. I wasn't among those campaigning against Christmas. I love Christmas. I celebrate Christmas. And I really object to I'm Jewish. I celebrate Hanukkah. I celebrate whatever people want to celebrate. The divisiveness, with which your candidate used my name and my reputation in a thoroughly, in my view, dog whistle way, saying, that I was among people saying what was best for people not remotely like us, is very objectionable.
So with the greatest of respect, I understand where you're coming from.
Do you?
Can I respond? Can I just respond?
Sure.
I understand ma'am, I really do understand where you're coming from and the concern that you have. Can I just encourage you, please, to send an email? The advice that Mr. Taylor has provided to his press office and the response that has been provided to media is that Mr. Taylor recalls meeting there.
But I wasn't there. I wasn't there in 1991. I just wasn't. Where does he recall meeting me?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I can't say any more because I, with respect, I haven't been to Oxford and I was not there at the time. And I can assure you the clarification has been already provided, which is that there is no suggestion whatsoever that Ms. Wolf was campaigning against Christmas in any way.
But that is really not what his maiden speech.
You referenced. And if you have a further question, can you please provide that via email, and you will get a response from Mr. Taylor.
All right. Well, so first
I can assure you of that.
I don't want. So let me be clear. I've lived with this really gross misuse of my reputation and really gross distortion of the facts for 3 or 4 days, and it's a matter of public record. And I really don't think it's appropriate that I should have to email his press office and wait for an email and be restricted to having no follow-up questions with a very inadequate, in my view, non-answer from a journalist as well as the subject of a misstatement of a national figure who was making a misstatement, invoking my name for clear effect, saying I was in a place that I wasn't, among people who were doing things that I would not align myself with, and doing it for partisan reasons in a maiden speech to Parliament. And now he's not willing to get on the phone, publicly retract, publicly correct something that is not a matter of opinion. It's a matter of public record. That's number one. Number two, someone.
Ms. Wolf, I'm really sorry to cut you off.
No, I'm not going to let you cut me off. Just for one moment, please.
No, please. Can I just, I'm sorry.
No, there's a second point.
I'll finish hearing your point. But if I can just interject, can I please at least provide you with the email address?
I'm not willing to do that.
Can I assure you that a maiden speech to Parliament in Australia, a maiden speech to Parliament is not a matter of partisan issue. It's not a matter of dispute. No, with respect, it is not a matter, it's not a partisan issue. It is a statement to Parliament, and these things it is highly unusual that these matters are disputed. And can I provide you, please, with an email address? Because I'm not equipped to respond.
You're saying that
an email address.
You're saying a maiden speech to Parliament is not a partisan, is not disputed. What if it's wrong?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but can I provide you with an email address, which you can then, if you have any concerns, you can provide that to that email address, and I can assure you you'll receive a response.
So, again, I'll restate for the 6th or 7th time, I'm not willing to conduct this exchange by email because I'm not willing to be limited to a non-direct communication because it requires follow-up questions. I respectfully think the way that your office, judging from this exchange...
Well, if you like a response from Mr. Taylor, please, can you send an email? And I will ensure that you get a response. Again,
I don't wish to communicate about this by email. I'm asking for a public correction. There doesn't have to be any further communication between us. And he can call me. He can Skype me, but this can't be...
Ms. Wolf, can I just assure you, it is an accident this phone call was even picked up. It is after midnight in Australia, as in it is approaching 1 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
And if you can send an email, please, or alternatively, I can encourage you and give you a time in which to call back. And if you,
so his press office should know.
If you would like to speak to Mr. Taylor personally, we can facilitate that.
No, I want him to make a public apology. I don't want to speak to him personally. He used my name twice in ways that are completely inappropriate, totally unjustified, inaccurate. I don't need to advocate to him about that. He has done a wrong thing and he needs to take responsibility for it. I'm telling you this. I'll give you my phone number, pass it on to the press office. I'm not going to be beseeching him to correct something wrong.
Okay, would you like me to provide would you like to give me your telephone number
Certainly.
or email address?
Absolutely. My number is 64.
What is
Sure. You would dial 001 if that's the code for the United States from Australia.
Yep.
I'm on the East Coast of the United States. Thank you. And I don't want a discussion. I want a correction that is public, that is as public as his...
Can I ask what your email address is?
Certainly. It's Naomi at dailyclout.io, DAILYCLOUT.io.
Sorry, Daily Crouch?
No, not Daily Crouch. Daily Clout.
Sorry, I missed that.
That's
Sorry.
fine.
So Naomi at...
D like dog. A-I-L like Larry, Y. C like cat, L like Larry, O, U, T like Tom, Daily Clout, it's a democracy building platform, .io, like Indian Ocean.
Okay.
So I
Can you repeat that? Naomi at?
D like dog, A like apple, I like insect, L like Larry, Y like yellow, C like cat, L like Larry, O like Oscar, U like umbrella, T like Tom, dot, I like insect, O like open.
Okay,
but
thank you.
Before you go, the number one issue is to correct his statement in his maiden speech, stating that I was anywhere in or near campaigners against Christmas in Oxford in 1991, because I wasn't. I didn't live down the hall from him. That all of that is a misstatement, and I do not want to be invoked in a maiden speech among campaigners against Christmas because I never supported that. I don't believe in it. It's not true. There's nothing true about it. It's not a matter of dispute. And my whereabouts in 1991 are completely public. They weren't among campaigners against Christmas in Oxford. The second thing is...
And just to confirm your number, 001.
Correct. Thank you. And the second thing, which is very important, is that someone in your office or near the candidate or with the candidate's permission, because I was a political consultant at a pretty high level, and I know how these things work. Statements are not made to the press without sign-off from the candidate. The press office cannot freelance. It doesn't work that way. So whoever told the Financial Review that I initiated a campaign against the Christmas tree in the common room at New College in 1991, which is clearly what the Financial Review states. Please stop interrupting me. Please stop interrupting me. As a woman, I'm really objecting to the way I've been silenced in this whole exchange, and the fact that I've been publicly calling for a correction for days, and there's been no response. So I will finish what I'm saying. Please listen to me. Someone in your office or authorized by your candidate okayed that complex and detailed story, which is wholly inaccurate in the Financial Review about my allegedly initiating a campaign against the common room Christmas tree in Oxford in 1991, which goes on to say that your candidate, as a Christian, fought against me to protect Christmas and be the hero of Christmas, and vanquished my alleged campaign. I'm Jewish. This is a racially and ethnically divisive story. Someone in your office okayed it. Someone in the communications department okayed it. It is not accurate in any way, and it must be corrected.
Can I just confirm the clarification I provided earlier? That is the Australian Financial Review's reporting, and as a point, in support of that, the minister's grandparents are Jewish.
Okay, so again,
just out as an abundance of clarity,
yeah,
that is the Financial Review's reporting.
mm-hmm.
The minister is not responsible for the reporting of Australian news outlets, and I understand your concern around that. But the ministers on his maternal side, they are Jewish.
So I'm very happy
for that.
Very happy for that diversity in his family. I have no objection or argument with his grandparents or any member of his family. My argument is with your candidate, because again, I was a political consultant to Gore, the Vice President of the United States, formally, and to the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, informally. Okay, so I know how.
Can I just clarify?
Please stop interrupting. Please stop interrupting.
It's 1 a.m. I'm a staff member to Minister Taylor, and I will relay the advice that you provided.
What's your role?
And we'll call you back during business hours.
Okay, but I would really like for the record to complete my sentence about this, because it's important. There is no such thing. There is no such thing as a candidate or an elected official having a detailed story about their alleged triumph over a well-known feminist's alleged war on Christmas that goes into print in a publication like the Financial Review without your team seeing it and authorizing it or authorizing it over the phone.
I'm really sorry.
There's no such thing in the world of political
Can I just clarify
life.
something there? Like, I understand where you're coming from, and normally, I would totally accept your point, but can I just clarify, there's been, shall we say, there's been a lot happening in Australian media space, and it is not at all what you're suggesting, but we will respond to you during business hours if that's okay, because it is 1 a.m. in Australia now.
You still have
So
I was up till 1 a.m. reading these erroneous reports. Yes.
Ma'am, I'm really sorry, but it's 1 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and frankly, I need to leave the office. I can provide you with the email address of the press secretary, or alternatively, the press secretary.
I'll wait to hear from the press secretary. I'll wait to hear from your principal, Angus Taylor. But I importantly wish to conclude that whether or not your office signed off on that completely elaborate, ethnically divisive, inappropriate and inaccurate story in a national publication, which is still up online, by the way, uncorrected, you have a responsibility. He has a responsibility, and your press office has a responsibility to immediately correct it. When it comes out and they see that this is an unverified story and it's not accurate, they didn't authorize it, that's when you're supposed to correct it. And again, that's journalism ethics, it's political ethics, and it's how communications work for senior elected officials. You know that.
Okay, I have to go. It's 1 a.m.
What's your name, please?
I'm just a member of Minister Taylor's staff, and I'll provide the feedback. I've taken notes of what you provided, and I'll pass it on to the press office, if that's okay.
Thank you.
And your
what's your name and title, please?
Sure. And your contact number is double.
Thank you so much. And what's your name, please?
I'm a member of Mr. Taylor's staff. I'm not part of the press office, but the press secretary will give you a call tomorrow.
What's the press secretary's name, please?
The press secretary's name is Liam.
Liam, and what's Liam's last name, please?
Would you like the email address?
No, I'd like Liam's full name, please.
It's Liam dot O'Neill, O for Oscar, N for Nelly, E for Echo, I for India, L for Lima, at energy.gov.au. That's Liam dot O for Oscar, N for Nelly, E for Echo, I for India, L for Lima, at energy.gov.au.
Okay, thank you so much. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate your patience. What was your name, please? Just to let you know, this has been recorded. What was your name, please?
Just a member of Mr. Taylor's staff. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night. Good night, Amy. Bye.
Good night. Bye.